was awesome.
That was awesome.
You guys are awesome.
No, you're awesome.
You are awesome.
Sir, you are awesome. Seriously.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Welcome to this week's edition of Everything is Awesome. I am your host, Kev, and this is the show where we talk to awesome people about awesome things. And yes, it's that time of year. It's time for the Everything is Awesome Rewind. That's right. We sit down with Mike DeAngelo from the world of Tellist, Quantum Quest, the maps that he does. He's associated with Weird Witch Wands. We sit down with Mike to chat about an abbreviated version of 2025. In past years, we've done like 2 or 3 parts to this episode, which we still are doing 2 parts. Next week, spoilers, will be a look ahead into 2026. But this episode is strictly 2025. And we actually the way we were recording, we were kind of forced into a time crunch that we still went over. Spoilers. So I won't keep you long here because I think, the episode itself is about an hour and 10 minutes. That being said, before we get into the episode proper, something that I want to highlight from this year as we look back at 2025, and I mention it at the end of this episode, but I bring it up at the top of this episode because I'm extremely proud of it. And that is episode 200 and episode 201. They are our 2 Star Wars related podcasts. 200 is us sitting down with Mike DeAngelo, Jeff Stormer, and Taylor Keller to play Edge of the Empire, Escape from Mos Shuta. And it was my first time GMing a game of that magnitude. I've maybe GM'd 1 or 2 smaller, quick pick-em-up games like Mission Accomplished by Jeff Stormer, and Anyone Can Wear the Mask, also by Jeff Stormer. Edge of the Empire has a more complex rule system and more complex narrative dice that I'm a fan of, and I became a bigger fan of throughout the episode that we recorded and our session that we played. Extremely proud of that episode. I'm proud that I was able to kind of put that together, not necessarily last minute, but last minute-ish. I mean, I probably worked on it for about 2 or 3 months, and then for prep. Now, learned a lot, don't need that much time. I over-prepped, all that fun stuff. That being said, I'm still extremely proud of it. Even though, if you've listened to it, the audio quality is not up to the standard that we hold here at Everything is Awesome, still extremely proud of that episode. It just was, everything came together the way I wanted it to as far as a narrative storytelling event is concerned. I do wish the audio was better. But it hits a lot of, bookmarks that I look for in, maybe not an episode of Everything is Awesome, but in a creative project that I do. And even though it was part of Everything is Awesome, this was its own little creative project. And it was A, fun, first and foremost. That's what I look for. B, I think the end product, maybe not audio-wise, but came out perfect, exactly how I wanted it to come out. And I got to meet some new people that I consider at least acquaintances, if not new friends. That's the whole point of this show, of Everything is Awesome. And new projects, when I work on new projects. I always love to find new people that I jive with. And Taylor is that new person. And, I don't know how often we'll ever really collaborate. I know we have another episode coming up in the new year that her and I will sit down and record in just a couple weeks here. But I hope to collaborate more with her on, whether it's the Star Wars game for Everything is Awesome or beyond, or other projects. She just is a really down-to-earth, creative person who I like to associate myself with those type of people. That's why you saw Mike on the show. That's why you saw Jeff Stormer on the show. Those guys just inspire me creatively, And I also I think we have good energy when we're creating and just have a good time and have fun. Again, it's all about fun at the end of the day. So really proud of episode 200 and how that all turned out. And then episode 201, if you haven't listened to it, pause this and go listen to it. It's about 5 minutes long. Excuse me. And it is a Life Day special that we released on Christmas, set in the world of Star Wars, very specifically set in the world of the Red Talon crew that you met in episode 200. And it was primarily Mike and I recording it, and we actually didn't end up recording at the same time. So all the lines that you hear there are recorded separately. And I think, as far as like a fully produced piece of audio that is like an audio drama and not a sit-down interview podcast, is probably the best thing I've ever produced. I'd actually say it's probably one of the best episodes of a podcast I've ever produced in general. I've, no lie, listened to that almost every day since Christmas because I enjoy it that much, and I hate the sound of my own voice, whether it's my voice or Jick Jack's. So episode 201, I'm also extremely proud of. And as I look to 2025, and about what went right, what went wrong, and obviously my father passing this year was a big blow to me creatively, and I obviously I had a big commitment with another podcast called Get 'Em Next Year that right now is on hold. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I do know that I don't want to let other projects get in the way of this and my other creative things and what I have planned for 2026. So I'm really and I think I say this every year, but I'm really looking at this next year. The final, halfway through this year, I'll turn 42. I'm looking at this year as like a year to, for lack of a better term, come back. So I'm really, really excited to see what comes of that. I got some big things planned for 2026 beyond this podcast, but also for this podcast. So I'm really excited. That all being said, I've had you here long enough. We're going to throw it to Mike and Kev in the past as they sit down and talk about their favorite movies, video games, TV shows, and what they've accomplished themselves in 2025. Right here, only on Everything Is Awesome on awesomepodcast.com. This will be one of the final episodes, probably one of the last 5 to 10 episodes that I don't do the intro live. Spoilers.
Why?
Oh, because this is part of season 2 /
Oh, yeah. You were saying that you're going to change the way.
Yes. For the... Mike, we're coming up on 10 years of Everything Is Awesome.
And that means soon it's time for a rewatch of the Lego Movie. I
have not watched that movie in quite some time, in a very long time. I don't know. There's behind the scenes people listening. Obviously, Mike DeAngelo of Tellist fame,
and that's entertainment. You'll soon find
that's entertainment fame, and map maker extraordinaire fame.
That's part of Tellist.
He for the third episode in a row has been here. The last 2 weeks you've heard him as Arindak Orlu.
You pronounced it right and everything. I gotta say, a little disappointed.
I know, how many times I had to. So again, I'm gonna peel back the curtain a little bit before we get officially started here. I've had to do a couple of those Star Wars crawls for the promos that I was putting out. I didn't have to. I wanted to. That's actually low key one of my favorite parts of that whole process was sitting down and being like, "Sound, it's everywhere," which I couldn't get straight the first time I did it.
It's really funny because I have to ask, when like you did the voice, was that like the accent that, or like the sound that you imagine a narrator would sound like when they were doing the read of the crawl?
So I have a campaign podcast to go off of.
Okay, so they did their own.
And James, when he does the crawl, like he does the voice in the Clone Wars show. I believe they started everything with like not a crawl, but maybe there was a crawl. I forget. But there was a guy who was a character in somewhere who like did a voiceover to intro the show. And James, who is good at voices, was able to mimic that guy. You could tell it wasn't the original guy, but so I was trying to mimic that and I couldn't. So I went with with a guy who goes, "Heroes." I forgot. I can't do it right now. It's something that I got to be in the zone for.
Hero.
But that being said, I was trying to imitate James and I couldn't, so I just went with different, like a faux British accent. I think is what that is. But it was consistent. It just was not recognizable as anything.
I will say you are nothing if not, consistent with the things that you do. It doesn't mean that they're good, but sometimes consistency is more important.
Listen. I just love making those. Anyway,
you're like, we're gonna go on a tangent.
Yeah.
Can't do the tangents this time.
No, we're actually being smart about it and breaking this up into 2 episodes proper. Mainly because we are short on time to actually record these things. But it is that time. It's the annual look back to the previous year.
It's the Everything is Awesome Rewind?
Yes. I never called it that, but then maybe I'll steal. That's got to be somebody's thing. I'm stealing.
YouTube does the YouTube Rewind and stuff like that. But
yeah, so it's the Everything is Awesome Rewinds. Look back at 2025. We are paring it down a little bit and focusing on movies and video games. Probably
a
little bit of TV, like a real quick note about some books. And we're probably going to go a little bit quicker than we normally do. And then next week, we'll hit you with like what we're looking forward to for 2026, which is kind of a big nerd year with Marvel and mainly Marvel. I guess Marvel, DC.
Yeah,
I think there's something else coming out too.
But spoilers.
Spoilers. Yes. All right. So we'll kick things off with movies. And I in 2025 watched I think 36 or 37 in a row movies, and out of that like 21 or 22 of them were from 2025. So real quick honorable mentions before I hit the top 10 officially is Death of a Unicorn.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That was good. It did not. Honestly, if I sat down, I could probably redo this and shuffle it into my top 10. But I'm going with what the heart went with when I
would put that in my honorable mentions as well.
K-pop Demon Hunters is also in my honorable.
That's
mentions.
an HM.
Yeah. And honestly, again, like looking at it, like in the moment, I enjoyed that movie less than some others, but as I've gotten to know what I enjoy about that is the soundtrack more than anything else.
I'll agree.
So like it is probably movie soundtracks, which is actually probably another fun category we could do next year. But movie soundtracks, it's probably one. Like I don't think anything touches it. Maybe Superman, but even that is not.
That's more of a score than a soundtrack anyway.
Yeah, James Gunn didn't do the Guardians of the Galaxy treatment on that. There was a couple bangers, but not like Guardians was.
And a lot of them were fake, like for the movie songs, right? Because the band that he likes or whatever that's on like I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, so they're like the 2 honorable mentions. There's a bunch of other ones that I saw too, but nothing that really screams to me. Though I will say, like even Snow White, I'll throw an HM out there for. I know people had a problem with that Snow White movie.
I know that this is not a visual medium, but my eyes are bugging out. That was awful.
I didn't hate it, but it is low. It is one of the last 5 movies on my list.
Snow White, no.
It wasn't as. I think that everyone had such a problem with it that I was like, I don't see your problem with it. Like, I felt like people had problems with the fact that she was she could stand up for herself. Like, you could objectively say it was not a good movie, but I enjoyed it.
Well, and that's fine. You're allowed to enjoy bad movies.
Yeah. But I'll give it an HM.
Okay.
I'll give it an 8. It's nowhere near the top 10. Anyway, so number 10, Lilo and Stitch live action.
I didn't see that one.
They actually did a really good. Do you have 10 movies in front of you?
I do.
Okay, cool. So we'll go back and forth.
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch was pretty true to the original. There were some differences to
There's
it.
pretty glaring differences from my understanding.
Yeah, there was
having not seen it.
There was a character completely missing, but
Right. Well, and wasn't there like the family means sticking together kind of thing? And they're like, yeah, bye.
again, I think that like there's something to be said about like yes, sticking together, but does that mean you give up on going to college? I think there's something to be said about like updating that narrative.
There's remote learning, Kev.
Well, but like you know what happens at the very end of that movie? She uses the portal gun to come see her little sister. So like
So they're not really that far away or anything.
Like the way I saw it was they still see each other all the time.
Right.
So like I don't think that. I think it's just a bunch of people upset that they updated a movie that they're a fan of,
Right.
And giving.
They don't want things to change at all.
And also, I think you got people who are like, "Oh, you're giving a woman a sense of power, a sense of like, oh, she can be her own person and be educated."
I can't imagine that most of the people who are watching that kind of stuff care to like. You're not gonna. I can't imagine that Venn diagram is very.
I don't know.
Overlappy,
Yeah,
right? Like I can't imagine most people who are like, "Oh, I
Well-
don't want this woman to have power," to be the person who's watching Lilo.
I
and
also
Stitch
don't
anyway.
think they watched it. I think they
Right,
just
right.
heard that it was different and they were bitching. And that's
that could
why
be.
They, were bitching.
They jumped on the bandwagon.
Yes,
I could see
100%.
that.
All right, what's your 10?
So let me hit my honorable mentions
Okay.
first. Final Destination: Bloodlines.
Didn't see it. I want to.
It's really good. I feel like maybe one of the 5 movies now was kind of subpar, but this one it did a really good job looping together like 2 different stories in a really fun way.
In that era of like horror movies, which I would say is like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Final Destination, like those 3 that had like multiple movies in their franchise. I don't count Saw because I feel like that happened after. Like that happened.
And I feel like it's a very different kind of movie too.
But those 3 franchises are similar. I mean, it is my probably 3 of 3, but it's one of my favorite franchises from like the 90s.
Yeah, and it still hits. They still do a really good job. I'm excited to see because I would imagine that it did well enough for them to keep going. I want to see what they do next. And then my other honorable mention, I don't know if this is going to be in your top 10, Kev, was Fantastic Four.
Oh, it is actually.
Okay. Yeah. So mine's an HM. We'll talk more about it when we hit yours. My number 10 is the movie Weapons.
I didn't see it.
Weapons is really good. They do it. The way that it's presented is like episodically, so that you're seeing things from different people's perspectives. It's very corny at the same time. It's campy as hell, but somehow that just makes it very endearing.
Yeah, it was. I think Jen and I think she went to go see it because Trey wanted to, but she wanted to make sure it was okay. I forget how it went down. I didn't go see it.
It's vaguely violent in some ways, but it's not like super over the top or anything
and
like that.
Yeah, that's never really an issue for my 13-year-old.
Right.
Number 9. This might not even be on your list. Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah, it was not on my list. Not even in my HMs.
I have such a soft spot for these Marvel movies that they will almost always be in my top 10. Now, I will say there are some movies like Weapons I didn't see. There was Until Dawn I didn't see. I'm naming some movies that like I wanted to still catch up on, but there was like maybe 2 or 3 other movies that I noticed that I didn't watch yet that probably would have knocked that down. And if I were to rearrange this like in a not in the moment kind of deal, Death of a Unicorn could have probably outdone that. But I am a sucker for a Marvel movie. Brave New World, I think the biggest issue with that movie was they spoiled everything awesome about it.
Yeah.
Like it would have been a better movie
if you hadn't known that Red Hulk was part of it.
Exactly. Like if you didn't know that.
You know what? They didn't spoil, to the best of my knowledge, the leader, right?
No, but it was maybe through a Lego set along with Red Hulk. But
yeah, I could see that.
I think it was heavily rumored that was going to be the villain. Like I think I knew that going in.
Right.
And I don't shy away from spoilers with the Marvel stuff.
Especially being as close to me as you are.
Star Wars is like one of the few things I steer away from spoilers with because it's something that I hold true and dear to my heart. But it would have been better, and I think maybe even higher, or at least earned a better earned 9 if they kept that secret.
Right. My number 9 is Zootopia 2.
Haven't seen it.
It's really, really good. I think that there's a reason that it's like one of the top 3 in the world or whatever, and that's made like boku bucks. It's just a fun movie. Like there's nothing like there's nothing crazy. It's just like a lot of little fun nods and everything like that.
Zootopia is a fun IP, and like I love Jason Bateman. He's just such a fun. Even just hearing his voice and like that little I forget the fox's name, but.
So am I. Judy and
Jason Bateman. But that's what I love about Jason Bateman is 99% of the time he's just Jason Bateman, and I see Jason Bateman in that little fox.
Right. Well, and we watched a lot of like the behind the scenes and everything. Like they did a lot of not behind the scenes, like marketing and everything that. And the entire cast is adorable. Because what is it, Kwan? I can't remember. I can't pronounce the name for the life of me. Data is the third lead basically. Yeah. And he did fantastic. And Jennifer Goodwin she's awesome. Yeah, and she was so appreciative for the job. Like she was lobbying for any kind of work at Disney, like animation, for a long, long time. And obviously we know her as Snow White. Yeah. And once, and she's just it's wonderful. So
I love animated movies. Though ironically, none on Lilo and Stitch wasn't it wasn't animated. Anyway, The Accountant 2 is my number 8 spot.
That surprises me.
It
feels like it wouldn't be a you movie.
So it very fun fact is when I went to go see that, or before I went to go see that movie, I wanted to sit down and re-watch the first one, and I was like, it's been a while since I saw it, but like. Seeing the previews for The Accountant 2, I was like, they're really playing up the autism thing. Like, I don't remember it being like this. Like, he was just kind of a normal dude in the first one. Yeah. And then I rewatched it, and I was like, wait, this came out in the 2000s. I was like, I thought
oh yeah. You were thinking of Paycheck.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, I thought it came out in the 90s, and it turns out I just confused Ben Affleck's, and I was originally thinking of The Paycheck.
Yep, which was a fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie, just not a prequel to The Accountant 2. The Accountant 2, I thought what I loved about The Accountant 2 was that we got more of Ben Affleck and John Berthel together. Like those two have like great chemistry.
Mm-hmm. They're both really good actors.
Yeah, and I loved their chemistry in the first one, but you got to see it like on full display and be fun in this one. Right. I would watch like a movie every 3 or 4 years with these two.
Well, I mean, it sounded like it did well, right? So maybe they will get.
I think there's rumor that will be a third one, but yeah, I thought it was a really good movie, and honestly, probably deserves to be swapped with my next one.
Okay. This is like a fluid list for me. Like, so these might not be totally in order, but the next one up for me is a live action remake, and that's How to Train Your Dragon.
I never saw the animated ones either.
Fantastic movies. Like everyone like puts like Shrek as like the de facto like animated DreamWorks movie, but for me, How to Train Your Dragon is fantastic. Obviously, it makes sense considering like the material and everything. Like I'm very much into that kind of fantasy and dragons and everything like that.
I also
this is beat for beat. Pretty much.
Oh,
too.
really?
And you never really see that because they're like, no, I'm going to adapt it to be its own thing. But the director who did the animated version is the same director who did the live action.
Oh, really interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
Very, very cool stuff.
I think that the people from our generation would probably agree about the Shrek thing. I think that the younger generation, like the younger millennials, or even the generation after that, Gen Z, I guess, they, I think, do look at How to Train Your Dragon as like the de facto DreamWorks.
Right, like there was a Shrek thing at Universal. I think it still technically is there. They might have changed it to Minions. I can't remember. But definitely they have the new How to Train Your Dragon land at Epic Universe. So. Yeah,
like the 11-year-olds and 10-year-olds today, I don't think care about Shrek. Right. They love How to Train Your Dragon, even like the animated stuff too, which is technically before their time.
Yep.
My number, what are we on? 7 is Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
That was good. I probably would. That probably deserves to be 8. An accountant probably deserves to swap with it if I really look at my heart. But Happy Gilmore 2 was like, took me by surprise with spoilers. The fact that like he killed his wife accidentally, like hit a ball.
So funny. It very much felt like a Adam Sandler Clerks 3 take.
For sure. But
But much more warm and happy. And
yeah, like I love Clerks 3, but Clerks 3 is also literally like my issue isn't that it's a remake of Clerks 1. My issue is that it did the same exact thing that Jay and Silent Bob reboot did, and
Right.
that's just like rehash the previous movie. That's my only issue with Clerks 3. But Happy Gilmore 2, I think, is like the grown up version of Adam Sandler.
yeah, it's delightful, right?
yeah.
Like, and it does things with like the reboot formula that we've seen lately that was fun instead of like tired.
Yeah.
My number 7 is Mickey 17.
On my list to see. I've never seen it.
Really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Pattinson does a fantastic job with like all the different variations that he does, and then it's an interesting supporting cast. Mark Ruffalo is
Yeah.
such a weirdo, and I think if you had watched it, you'd see who it's kind of trying to portray. But I really liked it. I thought it was well acted, despite the fact that like the material is kind of corny, and just like a lot of the stuff that I like is very VFX heavy,
Right.
done well, and
Yeah.
that was definitely in that list.
Yeah, it's just a cool little concept that I was a fan of that I just never got the chance to see in the theater.
Yep.
My number 6 is a throwback to the 90s with I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I didn't see that one, but I wanted to. It looks good.
It is so good. I love these horror franchises that, like, I think Scream did a great job at not only, obviously, in the 90s reinventing slasher horror, but reinventing itself. Not so much with Scream 4, but Scream 5 really kind of reinvented itself. I Know What You Did Last Summer, like, it was just so good. It was a great way to reinvent the story, and able to incorporate the previous franchise's characters in such a cool way.
Yeah.
That like it felt fresh and familiar at the same time. Maybe it's because it's a movie that I watched in the 90s that I love, with like one of my first childhood crushes, Jennifer Love Hewitt. Like, what a great movie.
I think it doesn't hurt that the director, if I'm not mistaken, is like best friends with Sarah Michelle Gellar. So like you don't want to screw up that franchise with that in mind.
Yeah. And like and the OG actors all did a great job. Like and like the reason that they're there is so believable and so like
it doesn't feel hackneyed.
No,
or anything.
like they're not here to be here. Like they have a purpose to this story.
Okay. My number 7 is my only Marvel one on this list, proper, which is the Thunderbolts.
That's later up. That's moved up on my list.
Yep,
Yeah.
I really like the found family thing. I feel like I'm a little disappointed that Taskmaster didn't get more chance to shine, and I hope that they remedy that going forward in the Marvel universe. But Thunderbolts was just so. It had such a positive message despite being a darker movie in tone, and I love the cast. I know that we're likely going to see someone from that group die in Doomsday.
Yeah,
but
probably. I will hold off until I get to it. My number 5, I literally just watched like 2 days ago. Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out story.
that's my top one.
That's
It's so good. It's so well acted.
It is. Oh my god, I love Benoit Blanc. I love this universe, this IP. Watching the original Glass Onion made me realize how much I love this genre. And
Knives Out.
Knives
Glass
Out,
Onion was the second one.
yeah. How much I love this genre.
The murder mystery.
Yeah, and like not only that, but like just even like the solving of it, because like it, like really like this one in particular really reminded me of Psych a little bit, because him and the priest like are a team, and in general like I get a little bit of Monk out of it. Like,
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, just because he's kind of a
He's
quirky.
quirky, yeah.
I love the Foghorn Leghorn your voice. Like it's so like I watch it. I'm like I'm literally watching a Looney Tunes show right now.
Are you aware that he didn't show up for like the first 40 minutes?
Yeah.
And I thought that was very indicative of how well it did, because the priest was such a I don't remember the actor's name or anything, but he did such a good job.
I was at some point. I was like, it's weird that I'm not seeing Benoit Blanc right now. What's going on here?
Yep.
Very good movie. I will take one of these a year. Like I will. Yeah. I would take. I think my review on Letterboxd was I would take a limited series. Like give me a 10 to 12 hour story. And I would even take, if you wanted to go even cheesier with it, I would take an episodic format where he's got a new mystery every year.
You know, it's weird. There's been a lot of good murder mystery shows that have come out over the last couple of years, and they're all getting canceled. After Party got canceled. The Netflix show
The Residence.
Yes, that was fantastic.
Man, that was such a good show.
And they all got canceled. So I don't know, like maybe if they would switch things to a movie, maybe they would do well.
Yeah.
The TV, for whatever reason, I guess people just can't hook into it.
The final thing I'll say about this movie is what I love about the character Benoit Blanc is that he feels like you could do the next one as a Muppet movie, and he's the only human character, and it would not feel out of place.
He seems like he would just get into it. Like I need to know.
Like he just seems like he fits into the Muppet universe.
We need to find out how this piggy died. My number 5 is Sinners.
I have not watched it.
Something to be said about movies where the same actor is playing multiple roles this year for some reason. It is really, really like it's beautifully done. There's like a lot of like intentional decisions with like how things are filmed. I feel like they lingered a little bit too much on setup. That like I wanted more of what came with like the climax of the movie and everything, but it's still really enjoyable. Coogler can do no wrong in my mind. So,
I wanted to see that movie. I did not. That was one of the other ones on my I still need to watch list. But yeah, another fun fact about that movie is that a lot of the costumes were from the Abandoned Plane movie.
Yes, I do remember that. They went, this is taking too long. Hey, can we borrow those costumes from you?
My number 4 is Thunderbolts. And I loved everything you said. Like, I agree. Love the found family thing. It was the first. Now, I think that the newer post Endgame stuff gets a lot of hate just because it's not what came before. I think that even Brave New World, I think you need to look at these movies and try not to hold them up to what came before, because you're not going to capture the Infinity Saga again. So you kind of have to come at it with fresh eyes, which is why these movies are in my top 10.
Right.
Thunderbolts felt the closest to like a Guardians movie or like an early Infinity Saga Marvel movie. David Harbour is by far my favorite. I guess Bucky really is my favorite from that movie. But I love
he plays the straight man, so it's like he doesn't really get the chance to shine the way that he did in like say Civil War and stuff like that. Right. I will also say every Marvel movie should aspire to do something a little different whenever they're doing it. And this one definitely like tackled like the mental health concept and everything like that. You don't really see that too often in any of the other stuff that it does.
And I love what they did with John Walker too. Like, I was not a fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier because it felt too much like everything else that came before it. What I thought, to me, and I don't want to hang on this too long, but to me, Marvel TV is an opportunity to do weird stuff like WandaVision, like Agatha all along. But the movies, so like Falcon and the Winter Soldier just felt too much like a Marvel movie for me. I like what they did. Like, they redeemed that character in a big bad way, where like, oh, he's just a broken man with like, I can understand the mental health issues and stuff. So
and let's also throw it to Bob. Sentry was fantastic. As well.
Yes,
and his powers like on display were haunting.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Thanos like dusting people, like it almost felt like there's no way that you're going to be able to do something like that. But like the Black Shadow thing was that really gave it a lot of presence.
It almost feels scarier than Thanos.
Right. I will say, I feel like everything was wrapped up too neatly, but that's okay because we got big stuff coming. Now I am a little worried with Doomsday that, well, we'll talk about that more in our future one. My 4 is Avatar: Ash and Fire. Again, big into spectacle and everything like that. So this story did feel a lot like it rehashed from 2, but 2 didn't have Varang, who is the character that Una Chaplin plays.
Okay.
And it awakened things in me, Kev.
Yeah.
There is a subreddit, like my big goth girlfriend Varang or something like that.
If you remember correctly, it took me a very long time to go see the first Avatar movie. Like, you had to drag me to go see it. And, like, I did love that. Like, it was the first 3D movie that felt like, oh, this is believable.
Right. Well, and the thing about it is, like, in the second and third one, like, I don't remember if I watched it in Dolby for the second one, but I watched it in Dolby for this third one. And at some point, like, your brain tricks yourself into thinking, like, wait a minute, these aren't actual blue creatures or whatever. Like, this is, like, high-end CGI that, like, you don't even, like, it is spectacular.
In my book, there's only one Avatar, and his name is Laang. So
Laang.
or Ong. My number 3 is Megan 2.0.
Megan 2.0 was a good one.
Megan, I love that franchise. Like, and what I love about, and I feel like this is, I think, I don't know, is Happy Death Day a Blumhouse property?
It is Blumhouse, yes.
What I love about these movies that he puts out, and I don't know if it's all of them, but, like, very specifically these 2 movies that started as horror movies in their initial movie, they adapt they move into another genre as you get into the sequel. Yep. And Megan 2.0.
You're speaking of Happy Death Day.
Yeah, Happy Death Day is horror, and then it's sci-fi. I feel like Megan is the same thing. Megan 1 is horror. Megan 2 starts as horror, but it has big sci-fi
Oh yeah,
feels.
it's Terminator. It's Terminator 2.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, what are they going to do to make freaky sci-fi?
I don't know. I love these horror movies from Blumhouse. Like, he could do no wrong. Megan is such a silly concept that, like,
is Happy Death Day, hide and seek? What's Ready or Not?
Ready or Not. I don't know if that's Blumhouse.
I don't know either. I feel like it has that vibe though.
It has that vibe, and it feels like you could take a big opportunity to go big sci-fi in the second one. But yeah, Megan 2.0 is just like, it's a movie that shouldn't work as a sequel, and they found a way to make it work as a sequel.
Yep. I was thoroughly entertained with it as well. My number 3 is Soups. Is that your number 2?
It's my number 1.
Oh, there you go. So I'm not huge into DC or anything. Like, I like the humans trying to be gods more than the gods trying to be humans kind of perspective. But I feel like I was missing what James Gunn's Superman has been lacking in the past couple of years, decade, whatever, which is a hopeful Superman.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more to the top so that we can get there for you.
My number 2 is Fantastic Four. I honestly do think that was the best Marvel movie to come out this year, because it was something completely different. Like seeing like space, like future 60s, future 70s. It really did feel like the old cartoon put onto a big screen, the old comic books put onto a big screen. It is definitely the best iteration of the Fantastic Four we've ever had.
Right. And it goes back to what we were saying. Like, it does a new thing in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and I love it. I do wish we got a little bit more with Doom, but I understand the tease and stretching that out. But
I'm disappointed that, like, I mean, I understand, like, Fox had it, so, like, there's not too much that they can do with it. But I do feel like it's too soon to do Doomsday, having only spent so little time with the Fantastic Four and barely at all Doom.
I do think that, and this is probably a larger conversation for next week, but I think they're making a mistake having Doom be the big bad this early.
Thanos had so much presence across so much of those phases. And you know what? It's not entirely their fault, because Kang got screwed.
Yeah.
So don't beat your women.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is K-pop Demon Hunters, and again, I think most of that was due to the soundtrack.
Bang, and the story's good, and like I love everything about that movie.
Yep. It's a very like bittersweet love story and everything like that, but it's very funny. Like, it's animated really well. It's animated on 2s, like they did for Miles Morales and everything like that. So it's got that comic book come to life kind of feel that we like. But yeah, that soundtrack. I think I was listening to that soundtrack on the way into work for weeks.
So long. Yeah, same here. I like that soundtrack. It is, again, probably the best soundtrack of 2025. And my number one, obviously, is Superman. Which is, I don't think a DC movie has taken the number one. I don't think a DC movie. You know what? I think The Flash squeaked in at number 10 a couple of years ago.
Oh, I was going to say number one.
No,
Wait,
no. But I think it squeaked in my top 10 a couple of years ago. But Superman, again, like you, I'm more of a Marvel guy. I like DC TV. I think DC TV for the longest time did everything right. I think traditionally their Supermen are great, even if the actors aren't. Looking at you, Dean Cain. And
I was like, don't you be dissing Cavill. It's not his fault that he was
and even
angsty emo Superman.
Even I wish we got another version of Cavill's Superman to see what a hopeful version of that looked like.
Right.
I do want to go on record. If you go back to like pre-COVID, this is back when the Greater Philadelphia Comic-Con existed. We did a panel. I think it was, I don't know if you were on it. I think it was me, Nubius Black, Chaos, and Jeff Stormer. I think maybe you were there. I don't know if you were on that one or not, but it was when we had the big couches to sit on.
Yeah, I wasn't there, I don't think.
And you were there for, I think, Movie Fixers that year. It was in 2019. But anyway, it's in the feed. You can go listen to it. We talked about course correcting the DCEU. And I said, I want to see, if you're going to redo Superman, I want to see James Gunn direct Superman. I've been asking for this for at least 6 years. And
you willed it into being. It's part of your vision board.
And this movie is everything that Superman is supposed to be, that we did not get.
Clear that throat of yours.
Oh, I forgot I had water here.
My number one was Wake Up Dead Man. We talked about that a little bit. Just a huge fan of that franchise. I kind of am disappointed that I didn't get to see it in theaters because it was, I feel like, the most artistic one that's been done so far.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like it still manages to surprise me even after all this time.
I think I put in my review on Letterboxd that it is my favorite one. Like, I like it more. Like, I think I like it more than Glass Onion. It might even be better. I like it better than the original
Knives Out.
Yeah, because I like the religious backdrop to it. And as someone who is not religious
well,
at
and that's
all,
the thing. Like, it was religious in theme,
yes,
but not necessarily in like message, I'll say,
right.
because it was kind of like dismantling it. And in addition to that, I was watching a YouTube video where someone says, like, it nails down what you absolutely need with detective fiction, which is the detective is not the protagonist.
Yeah,
And it really did kind of seal that, like, that feeling of, all right, I need to cheer for this guy instead. And they did a really good job with setting him up as the lead.
which I don't think they did in the other two. Like,
No.
I think in the other two, Benoit Blanc was the lead.
Right.
Here, 40 minutes you said it took for.
Yeah.
And they're like the Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons. Like, I love those movies and those books because there's something about using religion as a theme and as a backdrop to your story that I don't know. It even reminds me of Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
There's just something about it that, because it's so ancient and so there's so much history there, I think that's what I gravitate towards. And even like the set pieces here were so beautiful because of that. Like, and I know they actually address the fact that it's not medieval because it's in Jersey or wherever.
Right.
But like that medieval Catholic architecture.
The look of the building, the iconography and everything, like, it was done really, really well. And you don't spend too much time outside of the church or the rectory or stuff like that. Like, so it was,
even that tavern was like
a
beautiful set.
Yep. I was very impressed with everything. I am hopeful that Rian Johnson continues to make them a lot better than his Star Wars projects.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where I you know what, I would agree with that. I would rather see him do 100 of these than any more Star Wars.
Yep.
I think that kind of wraps up the movies. Well, next week we'll get into like what's coming out in 2026. Do you want to go over video games real quick? I have literally nothing. I didn't play anything new.
That's okay. We'll talk about the 10 that I have, and we'll see if any of them sound interesting to you or anything.
And then we'll wrap that segment up with what I did play this year.
There we go. Have you seen Split Fiction?
No.
Split Fiction is a multiplayer only game. Like, you can't play it by yourself, to the best of my knowledge. We tried to get it, Rihanna and I. It's a little bit too high octane for her, and it gets her dizzy. But the concept is, it's two people who are trying to sell their stories to a company that's basically going to make.
I'm in. I'm
Yeah.
already in. I don't know. That's the selling point.
And they end up basically in like hyper virtual reality, and they end up in the same machine, and they're both telling stories like that are basically like robbing their mind of these stories. So you switch between fantasy, which is the one writer, and sci-fi, which is the other, and like. There's a level in the game where you are a hot dog that's like rolling around. Like
Did we make this game?
It is spectacular. I think you should definitely take a look, look at some trailers and stuff, and then if you want to, you can pick it up, and then I'll have someone to play with.
That sounds like a fantastic game.
Do you want to do back and forths, or should I just go and then you'll talk about?
Yeah, I have like a handful of games that I just played that were from whenever.
Gotcha,
so I'll go with that.
And I omitted a lot of those as well. I think all my games are from 2025. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I got a chance to play a little bit of that.
Oh, I want to play it so bad.
It starts off in Raiders. Like you do the Raiders opening.
Oh man!
Like that's how you get the tutorial and everything. And it's fantastic. I didn't get too far into it or anything. I forgot that Tony Todd, who was in the Final Destination, Candyman, all that stuff. It's his like last. It might be his only game role, but it's definitely like one of his last big roles.
Gotcha.
Final Destination was, I think, the last thing that he did.
Yeah.
But he plays a giant in this.
That's awesome.
So it's a lot of, and it's got the religious iconography.
Yeah.
You start like he's stolen a mummified cat and then goes to the Vatican. So like your first like off-site locale after the college is Italy during the whole like Nazi regime and everything. So Mussolini is still in power.
Oh man,
it hits all the notes that you want it to. I haven't had a chance to play enough of it. Like I zigzag in my games.
Yeah.
But I'm very much enjoying it. It has that kind of like in between Wolfenstein and Uncharted feel that I'm enjoying.
I want to play that. So it is literally like waiting for me to be played.
Because it's part of Game Pass. Like it's one of their games, so you absolutely can pick that up whenever. This one's going to be weird. Clover Pit. It is a roguelike slot machine game.
I think you talked to me about this.
Yeah. It's very weird. I'm a big fan of like the offshoot roguelikes, as you will see very soon, because there's one that's closer to the top of the list. It's just they do a very fun thing with it, and there was a game, I think it was called Inscription, that was on one of my top lists a few years back, which was it played with like a little bit of craziness, not nearly as much here in Clover Pit or anything like that, but like the whole idea is like your soul like belongs to this person or whatever, and you're trying to get the money to get out of hell or whatever it is that they're trying to portray it as. For such a simple concept, it was really enjoyable. Power Wash Simulator 2. Love me some power washing.
I did play the first one.
There was another game that I played this year, which was Spray Paint Simulator. So it felt like it came full circle.
Yeah,
I was making a mess and then I was cleaning it up.
There's
later.
another one. I don't know if I played it this year or last year, but it's like you clean up dead bodies simulator.
Was it Mortuary Assistant?
I think so.
That is not just a simulator. That is terrifying, from my understanding. It is part of my wish list. I just haven't picked it up yet.
Well, it was on Game Pass, so maybe it was not that one.
It might not have been, but there is Graveyard Digger, which is or Graveyard Keeper or something like that. That feels more like a Stardew Valley plus, that kind of stuff. And I played that, and that was fantastic as well. But not this year, a couple of years back. Little Rocket Lab is kind of like a Stardew Valley, and it is you putting together equipment to build things for you. It's kind of like, have you seen like Factorio or anything like that? It's kind of like, the general concept is like you need various pieces of gear. You build the machines that do it for you so that you don't have to.
Gotcha.
And it's just trying to like go around and make sure that things don't break or anything.
Yeah, okay. There's mobile games like that.
Yep. This is a very cute game. It has like that old Harvest Moon kind of feel.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Again, it's one of my zigzag games, so I do go back to it. There's another game that's at the top of the list that is going to make it so that that's impossible anytime soon. But Grounded 2, a couple of years back, Grounded was my game of the year.
Was that the Honey I Shrunk the Kid one?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I very briefly played that first one.
Yep. Grounded 2 is in early access, so like we're fighting ourselves not to play it. My stepsister, she went through all of the game already. There's a couple of new things.
No one can hear you. No, because you're holding it over here.
My bad. I'm reminiscing about how much I liked Grounded 2. It is in this one you get to ride ants and spiders and stuff like that.
So fun.
So we're intentionally not playing it so that it has a chance to catch up to us.
Right.
Avowed is like the company who did Fallout New Vegas.
Okay.
They were brought in to do a game in the Fallout universe. This Avowed is their Skyrim. So it's set in the Pillars of Eternity universe. It's a little bit linear, which I'm sure a lot of people don't like, especially considering how much you could do all kinds of weird stuff in a lot of their other games, because they also do Outer Worlds. They were the ones who did New Vegas, and New Vegas had all those factions and everything. I really liked it. It is, I'm sure, a lot of the other reason that people don't like it. It's a super colorful action RPG. Like you go to Skyrim and it's just so drab. It's gray and white and brown and everything like that. This was so colorful. Like it had like a jungle kind of feel. And I really enjoyed that. I hope that they do another one. Cause there can be more than one thing.
Right.
Not every game needs to be like a Skyrim. And this one
right.
had a lot of presence for me. The other game that was kind of like a Clover Pit, Ball X Pit, which is Arkanoid with roguelike kind of presence. You get like these characters in this village that goes into this giant pit, and then you basically play Arkanoid where you're not hitting blocks, you're hitting monsters. And it was just super addictive. I think that was on Game Pass, and I must have spent at least 40 hours playing this little roguelike game. My second one is the only Nintendo game on the list.
Wild.
Right?
Wild.
Donkey Kong Bonanza.
That's for the Switch 2, right?
Correct. Yeah, that is it's Donkey Kong Odyssey, basically. And it might have taken number one, but the problem with Donkey Kong Bonanza is you don't really have, like, you just beat the crap out of things to find the stuff that you want. Odyssey had, like, more of, like, a quest kind of feel to it. Bonanza just kind of felt like, all right, we're going to design some things, and if you run into them on your own, great. If not, whatever. Like it didn't have mechanically, it's fantastic, but like design wise, there was a little bit that left a little bit of a hunger in me. I'm very excited to see what they do with a Mario game on the Switch too.
Yeah,
but I feel like we're still a little ways out before that. Wild, considering it's Mario's 40th anniversary this year.
Yeah, so. The Switch 2 is a wild release because it feels like it didn't really launch with much.
And I mean that happens. Like every other Nintendo launch is kind of slow. Now the one thing that they did right this time is anyone who missed the Switch 1, they're like, all right, we're gonna get you the Switch games with a little bit of an upgrade. So like if you didn't play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, we're gonna give you this little extra. If you didn't play Mario Party, we're going to get you this little extra. If you didn't play Kirby, we're going to give you this little extra. And even if you did have them, it was a small upgrade to enjoy those as well.
Right.
The top game on the list is Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. That is, I found out it has roughly, if you wanted to complete everything, 450 hours of content.
Wow.
Yeah, it is cross-play compatible, so Dave has got it too. I got a copy for me. I got a copy for Rihanna because it's a sequel to a game that we had on the 3DS that was shamelessly addictive. The whole concept is you have jobs kind of like a Final Fantasy, but these jobs are 4 combat classes: Paladin, Mercenary, Ranger, magician or wizard or whatever. But then the other jobs are a woodcutter, a miner, a
Fantastic.
fisher, a farmer, and then you've got crafting classes. So you've got a blacksmith, a carpenter, an alchemist, a cook, all this kind of stuff. And everything is very like, it's built in a way where like everything you do has some kind of experience level, and that like it hits that like frickin' Farmville, like
Right.
this is what I need.
That sounds good. I'll tell you what, the one that sounds the most interesting to me is that Split Fiction.
Split Fiction?
Yeah, that's the one that sounds the most interesting
Yeah,
to me.
you should look at a trailer and you should see like, is that the game that I'm going to spend some money on to play with Mike?
Also Indiana Jones, but that goes without saying. I played this year a little bit of Star Wars Outlaws. Big fan of the Star Wars stuff. The Outlaws game is actually really good.
I'm super surprised that still is not on Game Pass.
You have to have Ubisoft.
Yeah,
Pass or
Ubisoft
whatever.
Plus.
But that's a really good game. I play that off and on. I played obviously Madden. I play every edition of Madden because it comes with Game Pass. And then what I've really been playing the most of is two games. One is Wild because I'm not a big fan of the IP, but Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah,
I got turned on to, and I haven't played it in a while, in a couple weeks, but it is actually like it's fun. It's just a fun.
It's basically like the Harry Potter Skyrim, right?
Yeah,
like it,
yeah.
but even better because you know what? I would say that it's more like a Breath of the Wild because it has all those things that you can do, and again, very similar to a Fantasy Life. It has those things, and you're like, I need to do this.
It also reminds me of like the old Spider-Man games because it's open world.
Yep.
But the big one that I've been playing, which I kind of play almost every year, is Fortnite. That's just, and not even, I don't really even like the game, but they put Back to the Future in it.
Right,
so
so
like
you had to.
It was a 1-2 bang. It was a mini Simpsons season that I wanted to get, and then now Back to the Future, to the point where what I really love about the current version that's out now or season or whatever is not only can I be Marty or Doc, not only can I play Rocket Race or whatever it's called with the DeLorean and race in the DeLorean, but in Fortnite proper you can play as those characters, and in certain locations there is a DeLorean, and you can get in the DeLorean and you can race, you can drive it around, and you can hit 88 miles per hour, and you go through time, and you go. I think you literally go back, like the person, if you shot someone and you do it and you come back, they're alive again, and I think you get to shoot. I think I saw something. Anyway,
that would be wild because mechanically, how does that work?
I have no idea, but I do, unless it resets everybody. I don't know.
That would be wild.
But you do get the treasure chest on top of the DeLorean, which is a bunch of like original Fortnite weapons or something. Nothing I really care about, but except for the fact that I get to see the
fire trails,
the Back to the Future odometer or speedometer that races up to 88 miles per hour, and then it's just. Fortnite's such a dumb game, and I play it with my kid because he likes to play it. But like with this Back to the Future stuff, whether I'm doing that or I'm playing the Rocket Race game in the DeLorean, it's just like such a big nostalgia hit to my dopamine. Like it's a big dopamine hit.
There you go.
Real quick, before we wrap up here,
wait, we got TV, like 10 minutes of TV, and then 5 minutes of personal achievements.
I'm going to do real quick before that is two books that I checked out. Funny, I read like maybe 20 books this year. Most of them were comics. Actual books, I read more Michael DeAngelo books than anything else this year. But the two that I read that weren't Michael DeAngelo books that came out maybe the tail end of 2024, Batman Resurrection, which is essentially a sequel to Batman Returns. Really fucking good. There's actually another book out that I haven't read yet. And then Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig.
Right, who's local to our area.
Local to Bucks County. The book actually takes place in Bucks County. It's like a horror type suspense kind of book. He writes some really cool stuff. Like all his books are good.
And he does some Star Wars stuff too, right?
He's done some Star Wars stuff, yeah.
In fact, he's the reason that the Jawas are rat people.
So I looked that up, and it's not a definitive.
It's just features that indicate that they might
smell. Like it was a smell that indicates they might be rats.
Gotcha.
Anyway, TV.
All right, TV. We'll do real quick. Honorable mentions are Percy Jackson, Abbott Elementary, St. Dennis, which is the medical comedy on Peacock, I want to say. Might be Paramount, I can't remember. And Stumble, which is also on either Paramount or Peacock.
I didn't even do a top 10 list because I didn't watch a lot of TV this year. I just want to say that this is how long 2025 has been. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man came out in January of 2025.
It sure did. There's stuff on here that like should be in the honorable mention list because like Marvel Zombies was fantastic and stuff like that.
So good. I mine. I just kind of wrote down randomly, and in no such order. I'm just gonna go through them real quick, and then you can go through yours. Spider-Man, as we just mentioned. Andor season 2 was really good.
Was that 2025?
Yeah, season 2 was 2025. I had to make sure because I was surprised. Marvel Zombies was fantastic. Stranger Things has been great. Big fan of that. I didn't finish it yet, but Welcome to Derry has been really good.
Yeah, that was really, really good.
I think, honestly, I didn't watch a lot of TV this year.
I felt like I didn't, and then I went through and I was like, oh, okay, I really did. Like,
I purposely looked and I couldn't find much that I want. I don't know what I did this year for entertainment because I didn't watch a lot of movies. I think I watched a lot of sports. I watched a lot of Phillies this year.
Well, and you were part of a big sports podcast, so that checks out.
Yeah, but it was a big sports year for me. So I watched a lot of Phillies, more than I ever have done in years. Eagles I always watch. I watch more hockey. I watched a lot of Union. Doop, doop, doop.
All right, are you ready for my 10?
Yeah, go through.
So number 10, some of these are game shows too. 99 to Beat, hosted by Ken Jeong and Aaron Andrews.
Yeah.
What a lovely like Squid Game like game where it's just like regular things that you would do,
right?
But like competition coded.
Aaron Andrews being the co-host is wild because
she does a good job though.
Sports. I just think of her as sports.
She does a very good job. It was very, I learned that 99 to Beat is not an original Fox thing. It's like it's international. It's been around for a while.
It does not surprise me. As all game shows in 2020s are.
Right. I will say that I am a little disappointed that there's not a social element to it. I feel like that's what this game needs.
Right.
Because everything else just feels too.
Sorry, I just realized I watched a fuck ton of Dropout. That's what I said. I watched so much Game Changer.
You know what? Streaming needs to be its own thing practically. It's unfair to not put Dropout on this because their stuff is so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Dropout needs to be its own thing, and it probably should be at the top. Because
Dropout was it was my favorite thing to watch.
Yep.
And if I've only watched Game Changer, and I'm going through Make Some Noise now. I haven't really checked anything else out. And some Dimension 20. I watched some Dimension 20.
Such a delightful service, especially for people who enjoy like improv. And comedy.
Is. I would say if you're struggling out there with money and you need to cut your streaming services, and you want something that's cheap but funny as hell. Like you go to Dropout, it's like $6.99 a month,
and they've got new content every other month, give or take.
Well, like new episodes every other week or whatever,
right.
And then new content like every month or every other.
Like
month.
they're bringing back a show.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah. It is hands down. Now, if you don't like improv, then you're probably not going to like this. Right. But if you love improv,
well, and I mean, like Game Changer doesn't really rely too much on the improv.
No,
and a lot of their stuff these days doesn't really either. Like actually doesn't need that. Smarty Pants doesn't need that.
It is, but it is funny that this little rinky-dink thing that started with College Humor is probably my favorite form of entertainment today.
Yep, that should honestly be. It's not like a TV show, but I would classify that as a TV thing.
Dropout is not, but Dropout
in
general is the number one TV related thing.
Yep, and I would conglomerate it all together. I feel like that's fair. My number 9 is Welcome to Derry. We talked about that a little bit. I really am. I'm not like a huge Stephen King fan, but like I do like a lot of the stuff that he's done. I like Stand By Me. I like Shawshank Redemption. I like The Shining. Yeah. And he does a really good job. Well, not he specifically, but Welcome to Derry does a lot of good tying it all together in some fun ways. It was very well acted. And I liked to see how it tied into the movies and everything like that.
Yeah, I need to get HBO Max again just to finish this. Finish the season.
I will conglomerate both Squid Games and the Squid Games competition because I enjoyed both of those. I don't think that Squid Games ended as well as I think that first season did. I think the first season was monumental, and it probably didn't hurt that it was like during the crux of COVID and everything like that. But this is very fluid. We're just getting into it now, but Murderbot on Apple TV. There's a lot of Apple on here. It is Stellan Skarsgård? No, Stellan is the father, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember which Skarsgård it is. Alexander.
Okay. Not Bill.
Not Bill. It's Alex. But it is funny that two Skarsgårds are on this list. It is a security robot who hacks his governor module and like basically basically does the data thing, like and learns to
that sounds good.
Have feelings and stuff like that, and it's just so funny. It's not like it's got, I don't know. You'll have to like look at a trailer and see if you like it. Ghosts is always on my top 10. I love the show Ghosts. They just this year released one in Australia. They have a German one. Like, there's a lot of ghosts out there. It
started in
the UK,
right?
Yeah. And it's such a wholesome show. Like, I feel like you need that these days. The Pit on HBO. It's like a medical drama. And it's set in one day. It's a 24-hour period, so every episode is an hour. So it's got that 24 feel.
Oh shit!
And it's just really, really good because you're meeting 3 new doctors on their first day. It's very well put together. The second season, I think, is coming out in either January or February. Like, they're already.
You saw as soon as you make the 24 comparison, you sell me.
Really, really good. And the main guy, Noah Wild, from my understanding, I think he rose to fame because of his work in ER. So it's almost like a spiritual successor.
I think there were some lawsuits. That's how much of a spiritual successor it was.
There might have been. Number 4 is Severance. I don't think Severance is tapped out, but I
need to watch that.
Severance is really, really good.
I need to watch that.
And then right alongside it on Apple is another show that's weird and wonky, Pluribus, which is Vince Gilligan, who did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and everything. And to the best of my knowledge, do you remember the episode of Community where they're watching the Western like VHS game where it's like, you howdy partner, you get 2 bullets.
Yeah.
He's the character who did the voice, and he shows up at the end of that. But Pluribus, the whole idea is pretty much all of humanity one day ends up acquiring an alien presence, and they become part of a hive mind, except for 13 people. And it's the hive, the others, the plurbs, trying to convince these 13 people, because they can't do a hostile takeover.
Gotta get Apple TV back.
They have to say, like, we'd like to add you to our numbers. And Rhea Seehorn, who plays Carol Sturgis, I don't remember the last name, but she, like, everybody else is on board. They're like, yeah, we'll do it. Like, it seems like you guys are all happy. And she's like, no, like, I want my humans back. Really, really, like, it's nebulous. It's cerebral. I think that you would like that. Look up a trailer of that. I honestly watched it because I had no idea what it was. And the first episode is wildly different than the rest of them.
Apple TV is low-key really good. I don't know if I watched it this year or last year, but Bad Monkey was really good.
Bad Monkey was good. Ted Lasso is coming back.
Yeah, I need to watch. I need to get on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso, and especially because it was like during the COVID stuff. It was during Trump. It was.
I just learned that was a character he developed for Saturday Night Live, and they said no, thank you, and then he brought it back for a bit during the Olympics.
Right.
And then it turned into a show.
A whole big thing. Stranger Things you already talked about. And again, my stuff is kind of fluid. I don't know necessarily that I'm that much of a Stranger Things fan, but because I watched the latest episodes recently, I'm excited for what they do for this final episode that actually brings us into the new year. Oh no, it is New Year's Eve.
It's New Year's Eve. Yeah. I've watched every episode of Stranger Things, and I don't think I was a mega fan. Mm-hmm. And to the point of where I'm watching the volume 2, and I think it's very specifically the last episode of volume 2. There are 2 scenes that like hit me in the heartstrings. Mm-hmm. The one was spoilers with Dustin and Steve. And I didn't shed a tear during that, but like, oh my God, like for them to fight and be angry with each other, and then for it to end with them like hugging and Dustin like just being, obviously very vulnerable about his best friend potentially dying.
Right.
And he can't lose another best friend. Like that was such a great moment. Honestly the best moment I think in Volume 2. But
I liked it. There were two scenes that Robert and I were talking about earlier, and we'll get to it after your stuff.
And then the other one was Will's coming out. I understand that like a lot of people think it was too much. I personally understand
When you're saying too much, it felt too drawn out. And
there
everything.
are two versions of too much. There are the homophobes,
Right?
And then there are people who are saying that it was drawn out, which I think you might be.
Yeah, I felt like it was the performance. It felt performative, right? Like it didn't feel like I got the same vibes from that scene as I got from all the women coming together in the in Endgame.
See, I didn't. I understand that, and I think especially and maybe in 5 years I'll change my mind. But in so many years removed from Endgame, I tend to lean towards it. I thought it was a badass moment, but I do think it was performative.
Yeah.
All these years later, I don't know that this was performative in that way. It's hard for me to comment on because I've never felt like I needed to come out.
You know what it is? It's that they took what felt like 15 minutes for this kid to come out while all the stuff is happening, right? Like,
but I believe that I can see how it could take a kid. You got to remember this 22-year-old boy is playing like a 14-year-old
That is
kid.
a good point, and that is maybe a part that I can't separate myself from.
And the 14-year-old kid in the 80s, where you could chance being ridiculed and hurt and family say fuck you're not my family anymore.
Right.
Like in this era where it wasn't cool to be gay, and very much the reason why you have 50-year-olds coming out as gay today because you couldn't do it in the 80s.
Right, it wasn't a safe space to do it back then.
Right. So you have this very vulnerable moment with his best friends in the world, with his family, and all these people who he's been through the shit with. And the power Vecna has over him, he is trying to spill his guts about.
Right.
And it just, I'm about to cry talking about it right now. It just was such an emotional moment that, like, again, I can't necessarily put myself in those shoes because I've never had to say, hey, guys, I'm straight. Like, I've never had to come out.
Right.
And
I think given enough time, Kev will say the other thing. We just need to bide our time, and eventually.
No. But not that there's anything wrong with that. But there's just something about that scene that I think, to me, in my head, it just makes complete sense why it took him so long to say it and why he needed to do it then. Because if they went into the Upside Down without him saying it, he could have been a spy again. I think now Vecna has no power over Will, and Will can now help without worrying about jeopardizing the rest of the mission.
Right. Like, I do understand, like, the whole, like, I'll be too much in my own head if I worry about, like, and you know what? They did tie in the whole Vecna thing because Vecna showed him these images of him. You know, maybe what they do is they show that instead of have an exposition.
I don't know. There was, again, I am very all about the emotional stuff. So, like, it hit. I thought it was perfect,
right.
and it all makes sense to me how it went down. Anyway,
I will say that there were two moments that felt like they were coming for these 5 seasons. One was Mrs. Wheeler.
What a great scene!
Like coming through the smoke and everything after she blows up the
What
Demodogs.
a cool scene.
And then the other one is them finally getting their teacher on board. Where it's like Snookums is a little bit like hesitant, and then it's like Dustin, like I'm in.
What's Murray's real name? Bert something another, I think.
Bert Kreischer or something.
No, that's not Bert Kreischer.
Oh, no, that's the machine.
Yeah. But the guy that played Bert, whatever I think his name is, that plays Murray, has turned into like one of my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so funny.
Yep. So that was number 2, but number 1, and I don't think you've watched it, is the show Paradise. Paradise is done by the guy who did This Is Us. It stars Sterling Brown, James Marsden, who you know as Cyclops. It is another murder mystery. It is a murder mystery where the murdered is the President of the United States.
Oh,
and Sterling Brown is his like the head of his security, and everything that you think is going to happen in this murder mystery show is completely different than what you're going to think. The second season is coming out in the next month or two, I think. I have no idea how they're going to top the first season because the first season is you'll just have to watch it.
I cannot wait. I love me some murder mystery.
Mm-hmm. And it is fantastic. It is. There's a reason that it's at the top of my list. I don't think that they can by any means capture that same magic in the second season. Yeah. I hope that they prove me wrong, but that first season, as soon as you watch the first episode and you watch the end of it and you realize what's going on, it is a game changer for that show.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that. All right, we do need to wrap quickly because we are not necessarily for the podcast we're over on time, but just in life we're over on time. So real quick, I'm only gonna mention like two things that I feel like I've really I'm happy with what I've been working on, and that's I feel like in the last several months I've really come together with Everything Is Awesome to start getting more releases out, which is going to turn into Avatar State Radio is also like. Spoiler, in 2 days, you'll be able to listen to the next episode of that. Part of that is because I think maybe Get 'Em Next Year is taking a bit of a hiatus. So, like, that's not going to take up so much of my time anymore. That's been great. Lumping in with that, I'll lump in the Star Wars actual play that you guys can listen to on the feed. That combined with the Life Day special was just so fun to put together. It was a joy to sit down and GM like a real legitimate, not that like the other games I've GM'd aren't real and legitimate, but like a real big system that's not a quick pick-me-up game. It was fun to sit down and GM that. And basically within the matter of 2 to 3 hours, like learn the mistakes that I was making and like kind of fix on the fly and also know how to fix for hopefully the next round of missions that the Red Talon crew go on. And then lastly, like Starbird Media, the company that runs all this, has been like doing kind of okay. So I'm really happy with like.
Yeah, I'm impressed with what you've been doing with both of those things.
Yeah, so I'm happy with all that. I'm sure there's some other things that, I mean, obviously, kids and racing, but like actual creative projects is what this is all about. So that's kind of what I'm kind of proud of is the last few months of Everything Is Awesome.
Okay. In the beginning of 2025, I was in a creative rut.
Right.
I wasn't doing anything for months. And I think that it tied into losing Peanut.
Right.
I haven't written, with the exception of a couple of short stories, and it expanded to other things. And I finally did like something to get like off the ground again. So I'm happy that like maybe around March of this year, I was able to pull myself out of that creative rut. You had mentioned one of the things that I should be proud of is that we expanded the fair presence.
Yeah, you guys have been doing a lot like vendor wise. I call it convention, but I know it's all convention.
Yeah, and we do have at least one more convention coming up in 2026, and that is the Lehigh one that we booked. Right. So we are going to do that, but we're also going to hopefully book the Philly Fair, the Bucks Fair, and Della Fair again. Yeah. And hopefully I'm putting it out there, right? Like you put it on your vision board, that other stuff. I'm putting it on my vision board. I really want to get the New Jersey Renaissance Fair because it's 10 minutes from our house.
Yeah.
It's 4 weeks. Like people, not to be greedy or anything, but evidently people throw money at you at that fair.
Right,
so I would very much like that.
Right. I'm really impressed with what you guys did, in the vendor space world this year. It is selfishly, I'm sad that you guys aren't going to be doing Fan Expo anymore. But it totally makes sense. Like that's just not the bread and butter for what you guys do.
Right. Unfortunately, like that just barely breaks even sometimes.
Right.
And it's fun to do them, right? Like, but
fun only goes. Fun doesn't pay the bills.
Fun doesn't play. I mean, it can to some extent, but it's also exhausting, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to add all these other things to the mix, at some point you need to decompress.
Which is why I stopped doing the community table at Fan Expo.
Yep.
And then even like this was I have mixed feelings about this last Fan Expo for various reasons that I won't get to on the podcast, but it was I was really looking forward to it being, it's back to fun. And it was, for the most part, it was fun. I had a great time. That in conjunction with meeting Taylor, who was on our Star Wars podcast episodes the last 2 weeks, like reignited like my love of Back to the Future. Like I forgot how much, like, and even on my letterbox, it's like my number one movie. Like Back to the Future honestly might be my favorite franchise of all time.
Right, and we've talked about it. Like it's one of the ones that really doesn't miss too much.
Right, and like. I mean, it's really. I mean, I saw somewhere something where like every nerdy person has their four, and for me, it's Back to the Future, it's Indiana Jones, it's Star Wars, and it's Marvel for the most part, or you can say comic book movies. But they're like what I love. And Back to the Future, like right around Thanksgiving, I rewatched the original trilogy again, and like just had so much fun with it, and like, I know people like kind of crap on 2 and 3, and specifically 3 a little bit, but like they're all just so fucking fun. They're all such a fun time travel movie, and I really am glad that like I found that love of that franchise again, because it's now going to turn into at least an annual rewatch for me, because I love that franchise so much. It is one of the ones. It is probably. I would say, I mean, there was a summer that I watched all 3 of those movies every fucking day. Mm-hmm. So, like,
well, that's one of your children really likes the.
They've watched them. Yeah. Trey has watched them, but no one likes them as much as I do. Anyway,
one more. I do want to say that I'm proud of looping in That's Entertainment, the YouTube stuff, because it has been. I stopped the year that I met Rihanna because you just spend too many plates, right? Like, and creativity is seasonal. Right now, I'm definitely not in my Telest season. I am for like the maps and stuff, but like I'm not writing or anything right now. It's because there's just too much to do to loop that in, and I'm happy that another one of my children who disappeared for a long time is back. I like the top 10s that we're doing and stuff like that, so I am having a good time with that, and I'm excited to see where else we go with that.
So we'll be back next week again to talk about what we're looking forward to in 2026. I forget what I have on the plate coming up episode wise, but maybe I'll talk about that next week and I'll be more prepared. The outro and the show notes will have all the places to find Mike. Tellus.com.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about it. You've heard from me a billion times. So,
all right, we'll see you next week.
Once again, shout out to Mike for being on another Everything is Awesome Rewind. We've been doing these. I don't know if we've been doing it every year that we've done the podcast, but recently we've been doing them every year. It's a fun little tradition that we do. Next week, we'll continue that tradition with our look ahead to 2026 in entertainment and personal projects and stuff like that. And obviously, thanks to Mike for basically jumping on whenever I have a wacky idea or that I just want to sit down and chat with him on this show. This is the 3rd week in a row he's appeared on Everything is Awesome. And next week we'll make 4 weeks in a row because we'll be doing another one. And then we'll get back into regular interviews and stuff. I actually got to look to see. I got some unreleased ones that we need to do. I actually got to schedule a couple interviews to actually get us through the rest of this season and to June. That's the idea with Everything is Awesome going forward, is we'll record and release episodes from September to June. But more on that probably in our State of the Union episode in July when we do that. And I know I just said we will record to June. We have specials that go on throughout the summer too. Just as I sit here and reflect on 2025, a year that was not great for many of a reason, but losing my father this year was a big kick in the pants, especially when it was right around when I was starting to get back into doing this stuff. Obviously, get him next year took a huge part of my creative energy as well, which was one reason why I kind of let this and other things fall to the wayside. But that being said, in 2025, I learned finally how to grieve. And I also went off my mental health medication because I'm not great at taking pills daily. My doctor agreed with the idea that if I can't do it on a regular basis, I should probably just stop. And I had already kind of weaned myself off of it by being sporadic and then just stopping at some point. And this, after 9 years of losing my uncle, was the first year that I think grieved appropriately. Not that there's a wrong way to grieve, but I tend to let that like kind of stop everything for 2 or 3 months out of the year. And I think, losing my father earlier in 2025, which now is a bookend. We start every year with an anniversary of my father's death, and we end every year with an anniversary of my uncle's death. But through my uncle passing away all those years ago, I finally learned how to grieve. And while it took me some time to get through that with my father as well, I've learned that, yes, the medicine was very important and it helped me for a while. But being creative is what I need. And that's the true medicine that I need for now. Things may change in the future, but all to say is that I'm very hopeful that in 2026, we are more consistent with Everything is Awesome. We're approaching our 10-year anniversary. That's going to be a fun episode. And we're approaching con season. And I'm just super, super hopeful that I will do my best using different tools that I've kind of learned over the last few months on how to not only manage all the projects I'm doing, but to find ways to be consistent, even if it's not sticking to the plan necessarily. All that being said, we'll talk more about that probably next week in the look ahead to 2026. As we wrap up 2025, I want to thank all the listeners who have listened to us throughout the year, especially with our inconsistent schedule. We didn't have any truly new guests this year, save for our Star Wars episode, but I do want to thank a couple people in particular. Obviously, Mike, he's just, my best friend in the world and will always be like, yeah, let's go when I say, hey, I want to do this for the podcast. And he'll totally, as long as he's able to do it, as long as he doesn't have anything else going on, that will, if I have a schedule that I have to maintain, I have to do it this day and he doesn't have anything planned, he's there for me. The Star Wars thing, the Life Day thing. I think this past year, I don't think he did any panels with me because he was overwhelmed with his table this year. But as you mentioned, as he mentioned earlier in this episode, he's not really doing Fan Expo anymore because things have taken off in other areas for vendor shows, run fairs in particular. So I'm hopeful that he'll get back to the panel scene with me in 2026. Tanya Todd, who was an episode that we dropped a couple weeks or maybe a month or two ago. And I want to thank her because consistently in 2024 and early 2025, she would just check in on me because she knew I was, not doing well mentally. And other than the conversation we had on my podcast and her podcast, we don't know each other real well. And that was just something, seeing that was awesome. So thank you to Tanya for doing that. A non-guest that I want to shout out and thank is Sam Reich from Dropout, host of Game Changer and Make Some Noise and a bunch of other things. I reached out to him to be on the podcast, and he didn't have to respond, but he did. He declined because he's just very busy. So for me, that's a no for now. Hopefully we can maybe turn that into a yes later. But the act of responding to those things reinforces the idea that you should take shots. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So Sam responding reinforces the idea I need to take more shots. I want to thank Jeff Stormer because he's another person who will go to with random ideas, whether it's about Everything is Awesome or something else. And he's always so encouraging and always willing to play if he has the time. And I've been in the podcasting game for for 19 years, I think, coming this summer. So for a very long time. And Jeff is still like an inspiration to me as a podcaster. And I've been doing it for, almost 19 years. And I want to also thank Taylor Keller, who hopped on to the Star Wars podcast. Also was like so eager to play when I approached her with like, hey, you don't know me. I'm an internet stranger, but do you want to do the 10-year anniversary episode and have an interview proper? But that's not going to happen until January and airing in February. Before that, do you want to play a Star Wars game with a bunch of like strange people you don't know? And then, also randomly, literally 3 days before Christmas, I'm going to do a Life Day special. If you have time, I totally get it. If you don't, can you record some lines for me? So like Taylor just seems like a really cool person who is willing to jump in and play and have fun with creative projects. And that's energy I love. So thank you to Taylor for doing that. All right. As we approach an hour and a half here, I want to thank you guys once again for listening for all these years, listening in 2025. I hope your 2025 was everything you wanted it to be, but if it was tough, just know this: you survived. You're there. Sometimes that's all that matters, is that, hey, I survived, and that's enough. Every year, every day, every month, whatever, doesn't have to be some grand thing. If you don't accomplish anything, that's okay. There were so many ups and downs for me this year, personally, creatively, that it's okay that if the most you did was survive. 2026 is a new year. If you take it one day at a time, and again, if all you can do is survive, that is okay. Sometimes that's what it is. Remember, we here at Everything is Awesome are big mental health advocates. If you're struggling, 988 is a great resource, especially if you're struggling to the point of thinking negative thoughts like that about yourself. But we're here too, at That Nerdy Kev. Internet stranger, but I'll sit down and listen to you. You have friends, you have families. Talk to somebody, always talk to somebody. Find the thing that works for you to help your mental health. It could be medication, it could be a creative project, it could be a good book, it could be a good movie, it could be a good TV, whatever it is, find it and use it. Use that crutch to help you get through your mental health crises. With that being said, Happy New Year's to everyone out there. Thank you for a great 2025. And ended on a real high note for me. That's what I'll say. As far as creative things go, creatively, I ended on, I think, a pretty high note. I'm hoping to ride that into 2026, and I hope you guys follow me for the ride. But for now, thank you all for listening to Everything is Awesome. I'm Kev, and for Everything is Awesome, have a great year and have a great 2026 right here, only on awesomepodcast.com.